Well, greetings, everybody. I'm Kiran. I head the Masters in Fashion Management, and I'm here to describe to you in a little bit more detail the Masters and the structure and the content that we cover. Now, the Masters in Fashion Management is kind of peculiar because it's a combination of fashion cultural studies along with management principles. Why fashion management and why not do a regular management Masters? Well, the reason is that fashion is something that's very particular. It's trend-driven. It works on 6-month cycles. It's something that is a form of expression and takes from design, culture, art, and society in general. And it's important to understand the intricacies of this discipline to be able to fit in as a manager and find solutions that are appropriate. The structure is quite similar to the other two masters that you've seen, and as explained, you have 2 core workshops and you have 1 elective, after which you have a final project. The 2 core workshops that we cover during Fashion Management Masters, the first one is Fashion Brand Management, and the second one is Fashion Buying. Both workshops are always done in collaboration with companies, students work towards finding appropriate solutions for company-led briefs. In the past, some of the workshops that we have worked with are Ferragamo, some of the companies, Altea, we have worked with MM6, which is a part of Maison Margiela, agencies like Lambert & Associates. We also work a lot with retailers like Slam Jam, 10 Corso Como. So it's a wide range. These are some of my alumni. One is Alice Boriani, who works as a merchandising coordinator assistant at Ferragamo, and her introduction to the company happened through one of the workshops within the course program. Then there's Pragya Sharma, who is currently an assistant buyer at Dell'Olio, which is one of the biggest multi-brand realities in Italy. So some of the workshop examples. The first core workshop that we have is Fashion Brand Management, and the objective of this workshop is to create appropriate strategies for specific brands across the value chain, which could be pertaining to product, merchandising, distribution, communication, or marketing. This is an example of the Ferragamo workshop that I mentioned earlier. We were approached by the green team in Ferragamo to create a solution which connected Ferragamo to the millennial consumer, but through the conversation of sustainability. And the students started off with doing a market survey of about 100 millennials per group, and they tried to arrive at specific insights that could help them to strategize solutions. The polls were across Instagram, WeChat for, of course, the Chinese market, and also Google surveys. And these are some of the inferences that they arrived at. The main one was that there's a big gap between millennials and sustainability, because although they really wanted to buy sustainable product, they weren't really doing it. And they realized that the 2 issues in this entire process were clear marketing and product availability. Basis the findings that they arrived at, they created a strategy for Ferragamo to communicate their sustainability initiatives better. The first was to align all the different platforms across online channels. The second one was to strategize communication that was effective across social medias, that is Weibo, WeChat, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And the last one was integration of all the different websites that they had. They came out with a concept of collaborating with 3 different designers, Rem Koolhaas, Marco Di Vincenzo, and Zhu Bingyang, to create a refreshed product for Ferragamo, because Ferragamo has a big archive, and to reinterpret it for a millennial consumer in a sustainable manner. These are some of the examples of the communication initiatives to communicate these collaborations. And yes, so basically it's to strategize appropriate solutions in the tone of voice of the brand for the specified consumer. The second workshop that we're going to be doing in the Fashion Management Masters is Fashion Buying. For Fashion Buying, we always work with multi-brand retailers. We've worked more or less with all the multi-brand stores in Milan. So we've worked in the past with Antonioli, we've worked with 10 Corso Como, we've worked with we worked with most of the multi-brand realities. This workshop in particular that I'm using as an example is a collaboration that we did with a store called Slam Jam. Slam Jam wanted us to look at the merchandise that was available online on their e-commerce and try and find gaps in the existing merchandise mix that they could develop further. This group in particular came out with the idea of misophonia, which is basically fear of loud noises. This was the mood board. And they decided that the gap in the merchandise mix was basically audio tech, which was very much in trend. And they thought that given the existing mix that Slam Jam had, the kind of brands that they had, this would be interesting as a highlight within the mix. They came out with ideas on products, so they decided to do a sound wave collection, which emphasized the concept of misophonia. They also came out with ways of communicating the initiative within the store over here in Milan, so to create a small space where they could play with audio tech, and the idea of an app. In the end, the product collaboration was in collaboration with an audio tech company, which is Jam. For the rest of the buying, a lot of research was done in terms of trend, in terms of trying to understand the current merchandising mix to buy the merchandise. So buying workshops tend to get a little bit more analytical and much more numbers driven. The students need to, at the end of it, come out with a coherent merchandise plan that fits in with the DNA of the retailer as well as the targeted consumer. And that is it for me.